Beep, beep. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this thing that we like to call Northern News Now Plus on the Northern News Now Plus app. I'm your host, whether you like it or not, Matt Rasmussen. Let me pop my stupor up. There we go. Morning director slash local filmmaker slash king of Halloween slash host of Movie Mondays with Matt. And today, we're going to talk a little bit about the Silent Night, Deadly Night franchise. That was my flick of the week. I didn't touch too much about what it is on the TV this morning, because it's not for everybody, it's not for kids, but it is a very noteworthy Christmas franchise that is 7 movies deep, and so it felt appropriate to finally talk about that one and lean into the scary movie aspect of the holiday season, because every episode up to this point dealing with the holidays, I've done cutesy, family-friendly, funny comedy, franchises and things that are holiday related. It's time to finally talk about some scary ones, because there is a good scary holiday movie playing right now, and it is Silent Night, Deadly Night, the reboot. But we will talk all about the reboot and the franchise in general in just a minute. But first, let's talk about the box office figures. And once again, I don't have any video to accompany, so sorry, you'll just be looking at my mug throughout this whole thing. But let's get into it here. Zootopia 2. It fell from first place to fifth place, taking in $14.5 million. Number 4, the SpongeBob movie, Search for SquarePants, opened in fourth place with $16 million. Next, number 3, The Housemaid, starring Sydney Sweeney and Amanda Seyfried, made $19 million to start off in third place. Then, the animated biblical adventure David, the movie, debuted in second place, grossing $20 million. Then, Avatar, Fire and Ash, the third film in this franchise, opened with $88 million, far below 2022's The Way of Water, which debuted with $134 million, but easily topped the chart to take home number 1. And, I kind of predicted this, but as I was saying this morning on the show, I'm not a fan of these Avatar movies. I think they've overstayed their welcome already. I wasn't a huge fan of the first one. I know everyone loved it, and everyone's like, wow, Avatar, look at how great the graphics are, and, that's fine, that's cool. And it revitalized 3D, and it became the highest grossing movie of all time, and it's James Cameron, and it's tough to argue with James Cameron, except for lately. I can kind of argue with him on a couple of things. But, Avatar was okay, just not my thing, and so I wasn't. Plus, it's like a 3-hour movie. I don't think movies should ever be that long. Find a way to make it comfortable for the audience. Otherwise, when they're sitting there, they're going to have to try to think of a place and time to get up and go to the bathroom, and that's not cool. I never want to have to deal with that as a filmmaker. So, Avatar movie's okay. I didn't watch the second one. I was told it wasn't great, and I was just not at all excited for this third one. And James Cameron has constantly threatened us with Avatar 4, 5, 6, and 7, and he straight up has said, I want to do 7 of these at least. He's got all these stories, which is great, but he's been tied down with these Avatar movies since the mid-2000s now. I want a new James Cameron project. I want something different. I think if you're going to try to continue with the Avatars, do something else first, then maybe come back to the Avatars if people want it. Don't threaten us with 7 Avatar movies when the world isn't asking for 7 Avatar movies. That's my take on it. I don't plan to watch Avatar 2 or 3. I would watch a new Terminator movie, and this is the point where I was saying I might argue with him a little bit, because it's good to see that he wants to do Terminator again. I think that what he said last week about Terminator, it kind of hit me the wrong way. He said he's going to do a new Terminator, but no Schwarzenegger. He said Schwarzenegger's done. He's not going to have Schwarzenegger in his film. He's moving on from that whole thing. Well, I take issue with that, because I love Schwarzenegger. Schwarzenegger is known for Terminator. Terminator is Schwarzenegger, and vice versa. Schwarzenegger is the voice, the face, everything. Terminator is Schwarzenegger. So it would be weird to try to move it away from him. And they tried doing that with Terminator Salvation Part 4 back in 2009. And, you know, that one didn't do so hot. They had planned an entire trilogy jumping off from Terminator Salvation, and it didn't work. And then they came in with a new creative team who then did Terminator Genesis, and they had planned a new trilogy. This time they did bring Schwarzenegger back, which was nice, but that didn't work either because that one underperformed, and so they scrapped that trilogy idea. And then Dark Fate, same thing. They were planning more. This time with Schwarzenegger, and they scrapped the whole thing. It didn't work. You know, I think, yeah, definitely let's do something new with Terminator, but let's not write Schwarzenegger out like he is the face of the franchise, even if he's just a guy, like he was in the deleted scene in Part 3. He's just a guy, and they're like, we're going to use your likeness to make these Terminator robots. Like, that's cool, that's cute. Keep him involved some way. Anyway, that's my hot take on Terminator. I'm interested to see what he's got cooked up. I want to see new James Cameron projects. Really, let's start working on some other things. Let's take a little breather from these avatars, please. Even though I know 3 is going to make buku money, I don't think it's going to outperform 1 or 2. You know, I always hear mixed things about the avatars. So let's move on, huh? Quick break. Okay, I'm back. So let's talk now about Silent Night, Deadly Night. Now, it did not make the top 5, but it did open like last week, and I went to go see it opening night, and I was excited for this because I love Silent Night, Deadly Night in certain ways. Like, honestly, it's a bad franchise. It's not good. It is not a good franchise. It's kind of poorly written and underdeveloped, and most of the installments are just bad and tough to get through, sorry to say. But wow, they're a sight to behold, and they're entertaining. And, you know, let's just recap the franchise. You'll understand a little bit. So, back in 1984 is when the original Silent Night, Deadly Night came out. And they went heavy on the marketing with, if you can see the box here, and then the art over here on the coloring and activity page. They use this for the marketing. It's Santa Claus going down the chimney with an axe. Yes, a little disturbing, a little shocking, a little startling to some people. Got a lot of people's attention. It's not the first Psycho Santa Claus movie out there, but this is the one that kind of leaned into that, and it really got people's attention. Another good one is Christmas Evil, one of my favorites. I'll talk about that in a little bit. That really did a good job with the Psycho Santa formula, but you know, it wasn't as shocking and startling, and it just kind of came and went, and it slowly developed a following over the years. But Silent Night, Deadly Night, out of the gate, people were really upset about it, and so when it was released in theaters, it was released in November of 1984, same day as Nightmare on Elm Street, by the way. And they thought that this movie would do so well, it would outgross Freddy Krueger's first film. They thought between those two battling, Freddy Krueger would be number 2. What happened is all the controversy that got stirred up because, you know, this didn't sit well with a lot of parents, and it was out in Milwaukee that all this started boiling over. They started protesting outside of theaters, trying to get it pulled from theaters, trying to get it banned. And it took a while, but all that hubbub did eventually get the film pulled. So it had a very short span. Who knows how much it would have made. I really don't think it would have outperformed Freddy Krueger because, of course, Freddy's just the better film, the better franchise in general. And so, yeah, it got pulled, and that could have just been the end of it. But all that hubbub and unnecessary attention really shined a spotlight on this one movie, and suddenly it became one of the most highly anticipated videos that was coming out the next year. Everyone wanted to know what all the controversy was about. So it flew off store shelves, for sale, rental, all that. It quickly became a cult classic just due to all that stuff. So had there not been so much crazy attention, who knows? This could have just been a one and done franchise. But yeah, it came, it was huge, and you know, just to kind of tell you what the story is. Yes, it's a Psycho Santa Claus. It's a kid who has trauma associated with Santa Claus because something terrible happened to him and his family on Christmas Eve way back in the day. So he's traumatized by Christmas, any Christmas-related thing, he flies off the handle, and he's taken to an orphanage where they don't care or understand like what he's going through. And every time he like snaps around Christmas time, it's just like, oh, it's behavioral issues. And they constantly punish him and they force him to sit on Santa Claus's lap. And then when he grows older, they force him to play, well, somewhere else he gets a job. They force him to be like the Santa Claus that is in the store. And just all these little things start to trigger him, and he snaps and he goes off on a rampage and does a lot of not so friendly things. That's the whole R-rated part of this. And you know, a lot of it is very scummy. And like Ebert did not like this movie. He absolutely obliterated it on his show. Yeah, it is kind of a scummy movie, but if that's the kind of slasher thing you're looking for, as that was the trend at the time, these slasher flicks, you know, then that totally scratched the itch for that crowd. So that's kind of the story there. He takes on the mantle of a Psycho Santa Claus, and he gets dispatched at the end. But then there's already a hint at the end of part one that his brother, who was there most of the way, is going to now be the next Psycho Santa Claus. And sure enough, that's what happened after they greenlit Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 in 1987. That's where they went with it. And they kind of recast a kid for some of the flashback things. But here's the thing about Silent Night, Deadly Night 2. Infamous movie. So infamous. You've probably seen the memes, you've heard the quotes. So bad it's good. It's one of the worst films of all time. And you know the quote, "Garbage Day!" has nothing to do with anything. Nothing to do with anything. But Garbage Day is the thing everyone knows about Silent Night, Deadly Night 2. And again, it has nothing to do with anything. He's just going off on a rant. There's some tirade he's going off on, and there's a guy taking his garbage out, and he just screams, "Garbage Day!" And it was just one of these weird non sequitur, like, what was that all about moments? But it, you know, it took people. So whenever you hear "Garbage Day," that's what it is. Man, that's taken a lot out of me already. Okay, so to continue the story for Silent Night, Deadly Night 2, definitely check that one if you enjoy cult classic films, especially so bad they're good movies, because that is definitely what this is. And another thing of note is it's really lazily written in such a way that the first half, the first 50% of this movie is a recap of the first movie. The first half of the second movie is a recap of the first movie, so you barely even have to watch the first movie. It's just, you know, the new guy who is the brother now, Ricky, is just recapping the events of the first movie, as though he was there witnessing everything. Even in many scenes where he wasn't. They needed filler. I guess they didn't film enough, and it's a little eye-rolling how often they go back into flashback, and they literally just recap the whole first movie. So if you want to watch the first one, go ahead and seek it out, but you really don't have to. Just jump right into part 2, and you'll figure it all out. Eric Freeman, man, the overacting with the eyebrows, like he does this eyebrow trick so every time he's talking, "Hey Doc," with the eyebrows, and it gets a little much, but it's funny. It's fun to watch. That's part of the so bad it's good nature of this particular film. And it's sorry to say, it's very poorly written as well. The dialogue is just bad. It's cringe. It's almost Tommy Wiseau level at times. And, you know, it's another schlock fest. It's another cheesy, slimy kind of a movie. And exactly as they were hinting at the end of part 1, after Ricky's all grown up, Billy was the name of the character from part 1, and then Ricky's his brother here. Ricky grows up and he takes on this mantle of the Psycho Santa Claus as well, and he's specifically trying to get revenge on this nun from part 1 that really kicked all these things into motion and didn't care or understand about the Christmas trauma and stuff. So that's, for the most part, what part 2 is. I don't want to spoil too much in case you haven't seen it, but definitely worth a check. If you love So Bad They're Good, watch it with a crowd, please. I got to see it on the big screen a while ago with a crowd. What a time. So that's how to go and see that one. And part 2 is kind of the last notable one in the franchise for a while. They then did make a part 3, which was direct-to-video, Silent Night, Deadly Night 3, Better Watch Out, and that came out in 1989, and it is not good at all. It kind of has nothing to do with the franchise as a whole. It's new characters, new situation. They do have Ricky in it a little bit, as like he's got brain damage, and you know, he's got like he's played by Bill Moseley, which is kind of cool, so that's noteworthy, but he's got like a cap on his head, and like his brain is showing, and he's just kind of stumbling around like he's sleepwalking the whole time. It's weird. It's not good. It's a different filmmaker that wanted to do his own thing, and it's barely connected to the previous 2 in any way, shape, or form, and it's just not great. So, and it gets worse, actually. It gets worse. 3, very cringe. Skip it if you don't want to watch a cringe movie. They're all pretty cringe. The whole franchise is pretty cringe. Anyway, we'll skip along to part 4, which has nothing to do with anything. 4 is the most frustrating one. It's called Silent Night, Deadly Night 4, Initiation. It has nothing to do with anything. It doesn't even have anything to do with Christmas, particularly. The filmmakers, who again, it was a new team, they went out of their way to make sure there was like no Christmas-related stuff, no Psycho Santa Claus, none of the returning characters. There is a character portrayed by Clint Howard, and his name is Ricky, I do believe, but it's not the same Ricky. And I wonder if they threw that in to make it confusing. Don't make it confusing. Connect it to the rest. This is kind of your Halloween 3 moment, where it's called Halloween 3, but it focuses on a new story, new people, no Michael Myers. That's what this one was. And I don't know, I think the filmmakers thought it was hilarious to make a Christmas horror movie that didn't focus on Christmas. It had nothing to do with anything. There's like bugs and there's spaghetti, and it's weird. I can barely even tell you what it's about. I even rewatched it when the Blu-ray set came out, and it's still just so strange and weird and cringe. It's so cringe that my friend who was watching it with me got mad at me. He's like, why? Why and how are we watching this right now? It was that kind of a response. So check that one out if that's the kind of thing you're into, but it has nothing to do with the franchise, so skip it. I don't ever plan to watch it again. It was just, ugh. So that takes us to part 5, which was in 1991, I do believe. 1990, 1991, yes. So that one finally, they got a lot of flack from part 4 for having nothing to do with Christmas. So they leaned heavily into Christmas for part 5. And this one was one I always wanted to watch as a kid. I saw the video box, and the cover just looked terrifying. It's like it's got all these toys on it. It's Silent Night, Deadly Night 5, the toy maker. And there's all these toys on the front that look like they have wicked intent. And it looks really scary. And I was like, that is right up my alley. Because like Chucky was my thing, the scariest thing ever. Like anything that comes to life that shouldn't is terrifying to me. And so, yeah, I was very excited to watch that at some point. Finally got the chance. And they do kind of deliver on the scary Psycho Toys premise. There's not much of a Psycho Santa Claus thing going on. There's a little bit. But it focuses on a toy store, and it's like Joe Petto and Pino are stand-ins for Geppetto and Pinocchio, and it's like you find out the big twist at the end. This guy named Pino is like he's fake, you know, he's like a puppet boy thing. Sorry for the spoilers, but that's where they lean in with the whole toy stuff. So. That is worth a check, actually. It is bizarre, it's different, it's actually scary. It has some decent acting in it, actually, and some decent production values for once. It feels like they're finally getting the franchise back on track with that one. And another fun thing to note is that Mickey Rooney is in it. Mickey Rooney is the one who's a little bit of a Psycho Santa in this one. He's actually wearing a Santa suit, and he's the one behind all the shenanigans with the Psycho Toys. And it's noteworthy because Mickey Rooney, whose career started on film in the 1920s, he's been in a lot of Christmas-related things. He has done the voice of Santa Claus in many of these Rankin Bass original television specials. Like, you know, there's Rudolph and there's Frosty and all those. That's the Rankin Bass ones, like the best classic ones. But he jumped on board with the original, I believe it was 1970, Santa Claus is Coming to Town. And I leaned into that a bit today on the morning show. Santa Claus is Coming to Town. And yeah, he was the voice of Santa, and he was the voice of Santa kind of ever since in these Rankin Bass classics. He also, he was recruited to do Santa for other projects outside of that. So he was kind of just known as Santa throughout the rest of his career. So it's kind of funny that they use him for this direct-to-video Silent Night, Deadly Night 5, the Toy Maker film. You know, and Mickey Rooney was fine in it. It was kind of interesting to see. So 5 is the only noteworthy sequel where it seemed like they were trying. And they were going to do another one. And then something happened behind the scenes, and they just kind of stopped making them. And they said that they were planning to do more, and they were going to kind of go the anthology route with it and just stick with the titles and stick with it being Christmas related and just come up with a new story each year or every 2 years. They were just going to keep doing more. And I kind of would have liked to have seen more, especially because 5 was, you know, the most enjoyable one of, you know, these weird sequels. So nothing then happened with the franchise for a while until 2012. And finally they did make a reboot. Here, take a quick break here. There we go. They did, it was just called Silent Night. And it came out in 2012. And, you know, it was very different. It was very much a product of its time with the extreme, you know, straight-to-video slasher, this and that. You know, it was okay. It was more of a whodunit, but the twist at the end is there's no big reveal of who done it. It's like, oh, it was just this guy all along that they don't even set up until the very end, really. And, you know, the writing was a little wonky with it, but, you know, it had some moments. It had Malcolm McDowell is in it. He's the guy who was in A Clockwork Orange, and he played Dr. Loomis in the reboots of the Halloween films, the Rob Zombie ones. And he did a good job, and there were some noteworthy cast members in this. But, you know, it was okay. Check it out if you're a completionist, but, you know, don't rush out and see it. And then lastly, this brings us up to speed with number 7 in the franchise, which is again called Silent Night, Deadly Night. So I specifically avoided trailers and whatever with this one because I just wanted to kind of go in surprised. Knowing what the franchise was, knowing it's about a Psycho Santa Claus, and all I knew was the poster. And yes, there's a Psycho Santa Claus right on the poster, so I knew at least that part was going to be delivered upon. And I didn't expect this movie to be as good as it was, considering what a garbage day this entire franchise has been kind of up to this point. This new film, Silent Night, Deadly Night 2025, by and far, the greatest installment in this franchise, no question. They actually tried. They did a really good job with it. It's a different take on the Psycho Santa thing. And it's not just someone you can't sympathize with. They set this character up to be an anti-hero, kind of in the Venom, or more accurately like Dexter. He's kind of the Dexter of this story, where yes, he's out there doing deplorable things, but he's doing them to evil, wicked people. And he has like a sixth sense that tells him who's naughty and nice. And it's really bad people, like serial killers and stuff like that he'll target. And his whole thing is to clean up the streets so that Christmas can be a happy and joyous time for everybody who is not naughty. And you start to figure that out kind of as this goes along, because they give you in pieces. You're figuring things out, and I really liked how they did that. Because as it started, I was like, okay, well, this guy is clearly our crazy Psycho Santa Claus guy. What's going to happen with him? And the setup seems similar to the original. They do have things like the little boy goes and visits his grandpa on Christmas Eve, and then they're stopped by a Santa, and then bad things happen. I was like, well, it's going to be a little bit of a retread, but no. They take it in a different direction from that point, so you know it's in the spirit of the original, but it's done in a way that this character and his actions are seemingly justified by making him an anti-hero and a Dexter type. And he's a likable character, and the actor's likable as well. And the other actors, the other characters that show up, they're all fun, and they're developed much better than any of the characters that came prior. And it's a fun watch. And I don't want to spoil too much, but it is a good movie. It is actually the first one that is good from a critic response and an audience response. If you go to Rotten Tomatoes, the whole Silent Night, Deadly Night franchise is pretty gross. It's all pretty rotten. The 2012 reboot just barely made a fresh. It's like 70-something% fresh, just barely. I wouldn't call it fresh, in my opinion. But then this new one, 2025, is the first one certifiably fresh. Everyone likes it. Everyone likes the take on it. I kind of can't wait to watch it again. It was so different, and it was such a unique surprise to watch. I don't want to spoil anything, but like it's just fun. So go out and check that one out if you want an actual good Christmas-themed horror movie. So that's my thought on this entire franchise. I hope they make another one. I got to throw out real quick my honorable mentions of Christmas-related horror films that I like to watch this time of year. Usually I try to watch these every year, and they go by Christmas Evil, which is one of the original Psycho Santa Claus movies, came out in 1980. It's also been categorized under the so bad it's good ideology there. There's a lot of like hilarious moments, but it's fascinating. The guy that plays the lead Santa Claus guy, he's great. He's so captivating. I'd watch that guy in anything. So that's fun, but you know, there's not a lot of justification for the crazy stuff he does, but it's a fun movie in general. Also, Jack Frost, 1997, I do believe. That's the one with the snowman that comes to life. Not the one with Michael Keaton where he's a good snowman. The one with, who's even anyone notable in that cast? Shannon Elizabeth is in that movie, I guess. She's the only, I guess, big celebrity to come out of that one. Yeah, the one with that psycho snowman who does crazy, deplorable things and has all these terrible one-liners, and that is so fun to watch. That's one I definitely try to watch every year. It's also so bad it's good, but it's like it's a psycho snowman movie. What more can you expect? So seek that one out if that's the kind of thing you want to watch. There's also a sequel, and I guess the filmmaker's trying to make a third one. That would be great to see. So then there's Krampus, which came out in 2015. We all kind of know Krampus. I knew of the character long before the film came out. That's a fun one. It's from our pal Michael Dougherty, who made the Trick or Treat franchise. So that's always good. And it's in the same universe as Trick or Treat, by the way. There's a little Easter egg in there from Sam. And then lastly, Terrifier 3, which came out last year. That's Christmas themed. Art the Clown, he's doing deplorable things. There's no justification for what he does. It's just fascinating to see how that film came together and how an indie like grassroots campaign blew up to become this gigantic $1 million franchise. Because the character's so fun to watch, regardless of what he's doing. David Howard Thornton, who was in town here last week, by the way, or the other week, he was filming a new movie here, David Howard Thornton, who plays Art the Clown. So keep an eye out for that. Yeah, just everything David Howard Thornton does is amazing. And there's more stuff on the horizon we can talk about later. There's some projects he's working on that I may or may not be involved with coming up here in the future. So that's a pretty cool little thing. And those are my favorite horror holiday films in case you don't want to watch the Silent Night, Deadly Night films. So, man, I've yapped for a long time about this particular topic, so we'll just wrap it up for today here. I'll tease ahead to next week a little bit. I'm going to cover a film that's in the box office. Hopefully it'll be number one, because I'm low-key kind of excited for it. It's a reboot of a film that I really enjoyed growing up watching. And it's got some actors in it I love. And so that'll be, we'll not just talk about that, we'll also kind of recap the episodes I've done throughout the year here. It's been 6 months now. So I'll just kind of talk about my favorite episodes, my favorite films of the year, maybe hint ahead to like things that are coming out next year that I'm excited for, because it's the last episode of the year. We're closing it out, so why not, do a little recap. So that's kind of what I have planned for next week. So thank you for tuning into this one. And as this is our last holiday episode of the year, I'd like to wish you all a happy holidays. No matter what holiday you celebrate, whether it's Christmas, Halloween, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Festivus, whatever you choose to celebrate, make it a good one. There's only a few days left before the end of the year here. So happy holidays, one and all. Happy Festivus for the rest of us. And I'll see you guys again in a week. Take care, my friends. And stay spooky.